Now, with the recent 2.0 livestream going over the insane amount of content that we can expect very soon, additional info on our new 2.0 characters was revealed alongside the characters that are returning. In the first phase, we will be receiving both Yi Zhuan and AstraYao, and then within the second phase, we will be receiving Ju Fufu and Caesar. So with those being the banners featured within version 2.0, it's arguably going to be the most expensive version update yet, and especially for newer players that don't have either Astra or Caesar, given those two are currently the best supports in the game and have insane flexibility to synergize within multiple compositions. So due to the uncertainty quite a few players may have in prioritizing who to summon for, I'll specifically be going over the value both Astra and Caesar hold within their kits, whether their returning signature W engines are worth it, then I'll wrap it up with their overall value and amongst all of the available banners within version 2.0, who you may want to prioritize for your account. Just before we jump into it, as always, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more ZenlessZoneZero content and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Kicking this off with our first Rerun banner and arguably the most valuable character in the game, Astra is returning not too long after her initial release and really isn't any easier to pick up, considering that she will be dropping alongside Yi Zhuan, which is potentially our next best DPS character that many players likely still intend to pull. Similar to some other support characters, Astra is capable of providing a massive attack bonus to her allies, but also will be able to provide a 20% damage increase, a 25% crit damage bonus, and is still in fact the only character able to heal. Additionally, it's worth mentioning that the damage and crit damage bonuses are provided to all allies, opposed to just the active character on the field. So that would enable any character that is dealing damage off field to then be able to deal additional damage with Astra's buffs, which pretty much allows Astra to synergize incredibly well within dual DPS compositions. That, alongside the fact that her second core passive is activated from either attackers or anomaly characters, it does mean Astra is definitely one of the most flexible characters in the game, as she can synergize within pretty much any composition, which then also means she would of course have incredible long-term value regardless of which characters are meta. Now again, with the fact that Astra is still the only character able to heal, just like within other games in general, it does automatically mean Astra will hold the most value as a support, considering there are certain levels and modes that can be quite difficult as your characters may receive a lot of damage. But with Astra's ability to heal through her ultimate, it would allow for mistakes to be much more forgiving just as long as you don't get one shot. Lastly, with Astra's ultimate in specific, alongside healing, it will allow for characters to activate their chain attack straight after without having to stun an enemy. So taking the amount of damage chain attacks in general are able to deal, the fact that Astra allows for 2 chain attacks to then be activated pretty much for free is massive in terms of dealing damage. So with all of that and the fact that Astra takes up hardly any field time, without a doubt she is currently the most valuable character in the game and will essentially be able to carry majority of DPS characters. Now, as for the leader of the Sons of Caledon, Caesar's rerun has been a long time coming, as she did initially release back in version 1.2. Initially, Caesar was in fact the best support in the game until Astra arrived 3 version updates later. But with the fact that endgame content does require for 2 teams to clear, it does mean Caesar still sees a lot of playtime, and due to her unique playstyle, some players may perhaps prefer to utilize Caesar over AstraYao. Similar to Astra, Caesar is able to provide a massive attack bonus to the active character. But quite different to Astra, Caesar's sustainability isn't a heal but to provide a tanky shield to nullify damage. In addition, that same shield will be able to increase the active character's anti-interrupter level, which pretty much ensures combos and abilities won't be interrupted and will deal maximum damage. Now, alongside the massive 1000 attack bonus Caesar can provide through the first core passive, the second core passive is able to inflict a debuff on enemies that increases the damage they receive by 25%. So overall, perhaps not as much as Astra's damage enhancing buffs, but Caesar is still able to provide quite a significant damage increase for her allies with little field time being required. Now again, similar to Astra, Caesar will have incredible team versatility, as not only does the second core passive activate from either characters that can trigger a defensive assist or from ones that share the same faction, but also since Caesar does have the ability to play as either a support or a dedicated stun character. The reason being would be due to Caesar's abilities being able to inflict a lot of days for a non-stun character, alongside the fact that the shield she provides to allies does scale off impact. So with that being the case, Caesar is quite capable of stunning enemies considerably quick for a non-stun character, allowing for her to be the dedicated stun character whilst another support such as Astra or Nicole acts as the main support. Lastly, and perhaps the most unique ability within Caesar's kit is her ability to counter any attack with her skill, given it negates all damage received from a single attack and allows Caesar to strike back in retaliation. Now with this ability, it does certainly allow for content to be much easier to clear and forgiving, since you would be able to opt for Caesar's counter rather than dodging or parrying attacks. So again, even though Astra might be the better overall support due to enabling her allies to deal more damage whilst healing them, Caesar still remains to be an amazing character overall and holds incredible value. Moving on to the returning signature W engines, it goes without saying that they would be the best W engines for Astra and Caesar since they are tailor-made. But like most W engines, there will definitely be alternatives that can be utilized instead. With Astra's W engine in specific, alongside the massive 30% attack bonus provided through the main stat, it does provide an additional 5 energy after an ally triggers a quick assist, chain attack, defensive assist, or evasive assist. In addition, Astra provides a damage buff to allies of up to a max of 20% when she consumes 25 energy or more, which is quite easy to maintain due to Astra constantly draining energy through her EX special skill. So pretty much the W engine will allow Astra to activate her EX special skills more often and provide a considerable damage buff to allies, whilst also allowing Astra to be a bit easier to build with the 30% attack bonus as her abilities do scale off attack. So with that, the W engine will be great for Astra, and especially due to the additional damage bonus provided to allies. But the fact is that Astra does kinda provide enough through her kit to ensure her allies deal enough damage to clear through content without much difficulty. Also, considering there are alternatives such as the Bashful Demon that has a 25% attack main stat, or Kaboom the Cannon which provides the entire team up to 16% additional attack through the passive at max refinement, or even the Vault which increases all squad members' damage dealt by 24% at max refinement along with increasing Astra's energy regen, it does mean the signature isn't completely necessary and can definitely be replaced by various alternative options. Now on the other hand, with Caesar's W engine, the fact that Caesar is a defender type character and her shield does scale off impact as mentioned, the signature W engine being not only the only S-rank defender W engine available, but also the only defender W engine that provides impact as the main stat would then make it much more valuable than other signature W engines. Now in addition to that, the passive will increase Caesar's shield value by 30%, and when any squad member triggers interrupt or a perfect dodge, all allies receive an 18% damage increase and a 12% days increase for 20 seconds. So similarly to Astra's W engine, Caesar's signature will be great from just the fact it buffs all allies' damage. But again, since Caesar's W engine is the only one that provides an impact main stat, it does make it more of a must pull than majority of other signature W engines due to the lack of alternatives. Although there is still the original Transmorpher that can increase HP through both the main stats and passive, whilst also increasing impact up to 16% and max refinement. So if you really can't pick up Caesar's signature W engine, then the original Transmorpher being the only other defender W engine to provide impact will be your next best option to utilize. Overall, version 2.0 is going to be a completely stacked version update, since not only will we have Yu Juan and Ju Fufu being featured, but also our current two best support characters available at the same time. So especially considering the lack of limited support characters that have released so far, both Astra and Caesar have definitely remained to be as valuable or even more valuable than their initial release, considering content in general has become a bit more difficult to clear over time, which means support characters such as AstraYao and Caesar have become even more necessary since their initial release. So then, as for who you should prioritize between all of the available characters in version 2.0, of course as always it does depend on your account and preference, but taking this from the standpoint of a player that is quite new and doesn't have any of the 2.0 characters, as hype and enticing as Yi Zhuan might be, Astra being able to buff pretty much any DPS character and even older ones enough to be able to clear endgame content really does go to show how valuable and versatile she would be for any account. Additionally, with the fact that she can heal her allies, as mentioned, she does make difficult content a lot more forgiving, and with being the only healer after nearly a year, it's safe to say that she will continue to be incredibly valuable for a while. Following AstraYao would then be Yi Zhuan, given she is potentially going to be our next best DPS in the game, and similar to Miyabi, it's fair to expect for her to perform unlike any other DPS and should be able to obliterate all content without much difficulty. Then after Yi Zhuan, I'd have to say it is quite close between Caesar and Jufufu. Given Caesar on one hand is an ultimate all-in-one that can provide great utility as a support and a stun character, whilst Jufufu on the other hand is an amazing stun character that can provide insane buffs to her allies and deal damage off-field. So between those two characters in specific, it will be pretty much down to whether you do have alternative supports that can replace Caesar, or whether you have alternative universal stun characters that can replace Jufufu. Though with that said, Caesar will have a lot more team versatility and so would hold more value overall than Jufufu. All in all, the characters in 2.0 are going to hold incredible value. But without a doubt, the first phase will hold the most value as it does feature possibly the next best DPS and our current best support. Once again, it will depend on your account mostly as for who you should prioritize. But regardless of who you pick up in version 2.0, the amount of value each character provides will significantly impact your account due to the longevity each of them hold. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more ZenlessZoneZero content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also drop a comment down below on who exactly are you planning to pick up in version 2.0. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.